Stop glazing the Dagestanis for 5 seconds. Everyone thinks UFC 330 is just going to be another grappling clinic for Islam Makhachev, but you're missing the details. Ian Machado Gary isn't just another victim. He's a 6'3" nightmare that might actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, dethrone the P4P king. Is the Dagestani dynasty finally crumbling, or is Gary just another hype train about to be derailed? Let's dive in. Alright, let's look at the tape. This fight at UFC 330 is basically Russia versus Ireland 2.0, and the UFC is going to milk that Khabib-McGregor rivalry until the cows come home. But here's the reality check. Islam is a lightweight playing dress-up in the 170-pound division. Think about it. Islam's only real run at welterweight was against Jack Della Maddalena, a guy who's basically an undersized welterweight. Now, Islam is stepping into the cage with a legitimate, massive 170-pound fighter. Ian Gary is 6'3", long and rangy. We're talking about a guy who makes Islam look like he's fighting his older brother. In his first fight with Volkanovski, a featherweight gave Islam the fight of his life. Now imagine that same pressure, but instead of a short king like Volk, it's a lanky sniper who loves snapping jabs into faces. Why does Gary have the edge? It's simple. Distance management. Gary lives on the outside like a social media influencer avoiding a cringe compilation. He uses those long straight punches, jabs, and crosses, and those front kicks to the face to keep you at bay. Before we get into why Islam's wrestling might be in serious trouble, hit that subscribe button and join the squad. We're covering every major UFC card with this kind of deep dive energy, and you don't want to miss the fallout of UFC 330. Subbed? Legend. Let's get back to it. Here is the big question. Can Islam even get on the inside? Usually, Islam is the one sliding away, being evasive, and waiting for you to make a mistake so he can counter. But Gary is taller and rangier. We've seen Islam struggle to close the distance against guys who have a reach advantage, like Renato Moicano. And don't sleep on Gary's wrestling defense. He's been training with Charles Oliveira's crew in Brazil and seriously improved his ground game. He stuffed Shavkat Rakhmonov's takedowns and almost subbed him in the 5th round of their fight. If Islam can't get that first takedown in the first 3 minutes, he might start to crack. We saw it with Topuria against Gaethje. When the bread and butter moves don't work, the mentality shifts. If Islam shoots and Gary sprawls, or if Islam gets him down and Gary just pops back up like a jack-in-the-box, Islam is going to realize he's in for a long, painful night of being poked from a distance. Now look, I'm not saying Islam is a scrub. On paper, he's still the favorite. Some analysts are putting this at a 70-30 or 65-35 split in Islam's favor. Why? Because Islam has been chain wrestling since he was 5 years old. He doesn't need a clean double leg. He can just grind you against the fence until your soul leaves your body. But here's the hurdle for Islam: cardio. We've seen him fade late in fights when he's pushed. Look at the first Volk fight. If he's grappling with a massive guy like Gary for 3 rounds, what does he have left for the championship rounds? Gary, on the other hand, seems to get better as the fight goes on. If Islam can't finish Gary early with a Darce choke or a dominant ground and pound session, he's basically walking into a buzzsaw in rounds 4 and 5. And you know we can't talk about Ireland versus Russia without the notorious one chiming in. Conor McGregor has been vocal, and surprise, surprise, he wants a piece of the action. Conor says he's eyeing both Justin Gaethje and Islam Makhachev. He thinks Gaethje is an easy fight, but he knows the Islam fight is massive because of the history. He's watching this Gary versus Islam match like a hawk. If his fellow Irishman Gary wins, it's a win for the Irish takeover. If Islam wins, Conor gets a chance to avenge the Khabib loss by taking out the protege. Conor's even claiming guys like Ilia Topuria are just out here copying his tattoos and his belt-snatching antics. The ego is still in prime form, folks. Speaking of prime form, we have to talk about the chaos at the top of the heavyweight division. Alex Poatan Pereira is livid. After losing to Cyril Gane at the White House card, Pereira's team is screaming cheater. They claim Gane landed 15 shots after dropping Alex with a lucky jab, and most of them were illegal strikes to the back of the head. Alex even posted photos of his swollen occipital region, claiming he'd be paralyzed if he weren't built like a stone statue.
Herb Dean, the referee, actually put out a video defending himself, drawing lines on a head like he's in a geometry class to prove the shots were legal. But Pereira isn't having it. He's taking legal action to get the loss overturned to a no contest. He wants a rematch in Paris this September to prove that a clean Gane can't handle his power. Let's be real though, even if 2 shots were illegal, Gane was outstriking the hands of stone until that point. A rematch in Paris? That would be electric, but Alex might need more than 60 days to recover from that beating. So, back to the main event, can Ian Gary actually beat Islam? He's younger, faster, and bigger. If he trusts his TDD and doesn't fight paranoid, we could be looking at a massive upset by decision. But if Islam does what the Dagestanis do best, grind, chain wrestle, and refuse to let go, the God help us era of an inactive champ might continue. Who are you taking? The lanky sniper from Dublin or the grappling king from Dagestan? Drop your picks in the comments. I want to see the war zone down there. Peace.